Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be. This is another episode of The Darkness Binds, Mage Edition. Today we have our very good friend, Hard Arnold, um, who has been instructed after having what appears to have been dysentery over the last 24 hours, um, to go and show himself to the Chantry, and you've been given the information on how to get there. There's a password that you must use when you go to the library and a counter password. Um, but it's really easy for you to remember.
Okay, what is it?
Um, as I open up my notes. Um, you're supposed to ask about where the Necronomicon is. They'll reply that they don't have something like that. And then you're supposed to reply, how many copies of the Bible do you have? And then they'll tell you to go back in the back where they keep all of them.
Okay. So, Arnold Tapree in his linen shirt and I guess slacks and shabby shoes and black socks. Um, starts he comes in, he's smoking a cigarette, and he kind of gives a raised up eyebrow to the whoever's behind the desk or whatever, as if seeing if it's cool to smoke cigarettes in the bookhouse.
Yeah. Sir, can you please not smoke while inside?
Yeah, he turns around and opens the door a little bit and flicks his cigarette out, and he looks kind of forlornly as it flicks out into the street and gets run over by a car, and then he closes the door and comes in. He's like, "Hey, my buddy told me that maybe you guys carry the Necronomicon."
No, we don't. Sorry, my phone's beeping. Is there something like she's gonna go ahead and give you the counter password? Um,
Oh yeah, you don't have any. That's a shame. Maybe you can help me with something else. How many copies of the Bible do you have?
oh, if you're looking for those, please go into the back, and then she's gonna give you directions to a back room. Um, it looks kind of like a storage closet.
All right. Does she follow me when I go back there?
Nope.
All right. Can I peruse the shelves leisurely on my way back?
Sure.
All right. Do I see anything cool? Should I roll anything?
Well, let me open rolls and I'll give you a luck roll.
Wait.
Mostly because no one's asked this question before, so I don't know.
I found my sheet, by the way.
Yeah, there's a couple of really old comics on the shelves and whatnot. Couple of ancient history books that were taught in college. One of them has a price tag of $600, on the back.
Oh. I'll look at it. I mean, I'm not gonna steal it, but I just look at it oh wow. And then right before I go into the door, I'll put my back up against the wall, opposite to where this lady is, or I guess I'm trying to hide from this lady, and I'll take a big old drink out of my flask. And then I'll I guess crack this door open.
Well, it seems to be just a regular little closet, except that there's a big table there
big table like in the closet, like standing up, or is it like laid down in the
It's
closet?
like laid down.
Oh, I guess I'll walk along this table and see what's at the other end.
Like there's some chairs, and then there's this large door at the other side. And as soon as the door behind you closes, a bright light appears from below it.
Oh, I guess I'll go to that door.
When you go to the door, it's obviously there's something behind it. Like you can feel that.
Well, yeah, I know. It's like the chantry, right? So I try to open the door.
When you open the door, you look inside. Well, it's much bigger on the inside than you're expecting, because this is like at the back of the library.
Whoa. I like kind of cross myself a little bit, or maybe like grip my crucifix neck. And I'll go inside.
Right. So once inside, you can see that to your left there's this big like Shinto temple. Down the way there looks to be like a Best Buy store. Like yeah. There's a couple of weird standing stones further on in. And then at the very back of the room, you can see what looks like a old style cathedral.
What is this, like a little town square?
More like instead of a town square, think of it as several city blocks.
Oh. I mean, obviously, I'm in amazement. I try to like think about in my couple of years driving a cab since I've been back from Afghanistan, about like where this could possibly be in the city, and drawing a blank. I just kind of like I don't know. I guess two fingers will go up to one of my sides of my neck, and I'll just like feel my own pulse and walk inside.
You're still very much alive.
Yeah. So I'm just. Did they say where I was supposed to go? Like, am I supposed to go into the cathedral? Because that's where I'm probably like just gravitating towards.
You were really told like anywhere. You were just told that that's where the
That's where the Bibles were.
Yeah, that's where the Bibles were, and you knew that this was where the chantry was supposed to be.
All right, I'm gonna go up to the cathedral, I guess, because that's where That's where I naturally am drawn. I feel.
All right. Well,
are there like people mulling about? Or
yeah,
like,
there's like lots of people like around.
What are they?
There's like some Buddhist monks looking dudes, like some really weird like dudes dressed in furs. There's just some dudes with like VR headsets walking around. There's guys just wandering around, but none of them seem to be paying you much attention.
All right. Then I'll stop and have a cigarette before I go into the chair.
All right. Well, you're smoking outside and everything, and someone walks out. Starts smoking beside you.
Hey, how you doing there, Mac?
Oh, I'm doing just fine. Just fine. How are you doing today, young man?
Well, I gotta tell you, it's been a really weird day. But who told me to come here in the first place?
The old grandpa.
What's his name?
Um, you just know him as Gramps. Like no one really said his name, so.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't know. This old guy, Gramps, told me to check this place out and ask about the Bibles. And I walked in here and there's the cathedral, and that looks like the best place to find Bibles, I guess.
He kind of like shakes his head. That was more of a password to get in here to make sure that you weren't some kind of. We'll go with evil being, freak, demonic entity, that kind of thing. Just
No,
finishes
no.
smoking a cigarette.
I'm here to kill demons, not help them out.
Oh, well then, why don't you come inside? This is where the Celestial Chorus hangs out. And as you go inside, you look kind of like around for a second, and you swear you can see Hogwarts off in the distance.
I try to ignore that area.
Well, it's like any other cathedral. Like, there's a basin of holy water in front of you. The man, puts his hand in the water and crosses himself before going further into the temple.
Yeah, so will I. All the due reverence.
And as you go in, you can hear people singing and praising the one, which kind of give me perception empathy.
Oh, perception empathy. I have that. Hold on. I'll find out how much. All right, there we go. What's the difficulty, do I know?
6, just standard.
I got 3.
Well, the dude obviously looks like he does not like that when they're singing it's to the one or whatever this person is.
Wait, what? They're singing what?
They're singing praises to the one.
Oh. I mean, I assume that means God, right?
Yes and no. They're obviously praising some, God figure, but they're not using the word God or Yahweh or I am or anything else that he was known for.
Oh. I kind of whisper to the guy. What's the guy? Did the guy tell me what his name was, or no?
He's just walking. He looks like a 1950s gangster almost.
What's everyone else wearing in church?
Well, everyone looks like they're wearing I guess you'd say Sunday best. Everyone's wearing nice clothes.
Okay. I don't think I would be. I would be wearing whatever I was wearing
when you had the dysentery.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I forgot about that dysentery. So probably would have changed my clothes after that.
I mean, you were kind of in the washroom for 2 scenes, so we had to come up with a reason.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, you got dysentery.
Deaf. All right. So, oh yeah, I forgot. I was wearing a linen shirt and some slacks. So whatever. Yeah, that's. I whisper to the guy. I'm like, hey Mac, Is this one of them Unitarian churches or what?
Um, Everyone who believes in the one true power comes here to worship.
Well, I mean, and by that you mean God, right?
That is one of the names that people give to him, yes.
Are there Jews here?
He goes, kind of looks at you very, like, quizzically. Yes?
Oh my god. Alright, so, who's in charge here?
Well, as far as who's in charge, I am. You can call me John Smith.
Yeah, nice to meet you, John Smith. I'm Arnold Tapree.
And then he's going to give a um, sign and a phrase, like he holds his hand a certain way, and you think you understand what he's trying to tell you, but it's kind of just outside of your reach. But definitely like rings some bells.
He's just talking nonsense or what?
No, he's talking like biblical scripture, and it's like you're pretty sure, because you have knowledge of like a secret language, used to communicate with. I'm gonna go ahead and say, the Masons in the area, that this dude is on the up and up, and also, but it's a little bit odd. It's not like any of the stuff that you've ever heard.
Still not getting it. What the fuck is he saying to me?
He's basically trying to ask, in a roundabout way, using scripture and everything, if you happen to be one of God's chosen warriors.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how I probably would know in character, but out of character, I don't know how I'm supposed to respond.
Like there would be like another thing that you can say, like scripture or something that would affirm it.
All right, hold on. The good Umbra Transient Deus, I think is how you say that. Or Estes Sum Agni, which I think means I am a witness to the Lamb.
He nods and he goes, "Well, step in my office and we'll speak a bit more about this."
All right, cool. Let's go into the office with him.
Like as soon as you step in the office, like the door like kind of slams shut, and standing in the office is you've seen like the angels in Diablo, right? The video game. There's one of those standing like in the corner, just like reading a book.
I look at it like in awe, I guess, for a second, and then I look back at John Smith.
John sits down at his desk and pulls out a cigarette, starts smoking. You just need a light?
He needs one, or he's asking if I need one?
Yeah, yes, if you need one.
Yeah, I'll lean in.
I'll light a cigarette for you. So, brother, it's good to see more of the Templars in the city. What brings you here?
Well, I've actually been here. I grew up in the city, and then after I served in the military, I came back and was driving a cab here just until yesterday, actually, and then I uh, I bore witness to the Archangel Michael.
Ah, very good. That is very interesting. Well then, I guess there's some secrets to let you in on now that you're no longer, a sergeant at arms.
I'll like take a second to register what he's saying, and then I'll like nod solemnly, but be really excited, and it'll probably show.
So, welcome within the secret fold of, well, the Templars. We control, for the most part, a large majority of the organizations like the Freemasons, the Teutonic Knighthood, the Scottish Masons, and all of that, which you've probably figured out by now. We are directly descendant from the actual Knights Templar of olden days. And it is our job and divine mandate to bring about a forced peace to the world.
I don't know if it was simply a vision or if it truly happened, but when I was on my way to speak to the Archangel Michael, I came across a chasm, and out of it was spewing demons, and I prayed to God for help to defeat them, and he granted me, a shield of his faith and a glowing sword of fire to cut them down with.
Interesting.
What are these abilities?
Well, God has given you the ability to alter reality as you see it by just calling upon His name, praying, swinging an incense sphere. We can radically change how everything works. All right, so we have gravity in here, yeah? Like this is a law of physics that can't be broken on this earth. What if I told you that that isn't the case, that by praying to God I can change that?
I would it would be hard to believe without bearing witness.
I understand. Peter was a doubter as well, but came to be the leader of the first church. And I'm gonna roll some dice. Do 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 do. Turning off. Okay, well damn. He starts a prayer in Latin, which you of course would understand. Of "O Father, forgive your sons and daughters who do not believe without seeing first your miracles of this life," and then boom, you're floating in midair. And like pens are starting to float up off his desk, and he reaches out, grabs one, puts it in his drawer.
I
And the
like
little angel dude, like in the corner, just looks and kind of like rolls his eyes and goes back to reading.
why would God allow us to break his rules?
Because sometimes we must do things that are miraculous in nature, especially when fighting the evil of the world.
I'll nod.
Evil takes many forms, younger brother, and a good many of them may look beautiful, but with the abilities that God has given us, we will surely triumph.
Well, I've been charged with helping to destroy demons and also, well, Muslims. He made that very clear.
Well, the one is much easier than the other. Um, Mostly as we are currently not at war with them because there are much bigger fish to fry, as it were.
Demons.
Exactly. There are other supernatural things out there as well that need to be gotten rid of, and then there is, of course, the technocracy, who is always, first and foremost, our objective to kill, because they wish to destroy the belief in God.
Oh, well, we can't have that. He'll just say very matter of factly.
Well, that is the reason that we tend to cause major problems for the technocracy. There are very few of us here in the city. I believe there's only 4 um, enlightened members here. There are several sergeant at arms, sergeants of, and he gives basically various ranks of sergeant and below. But we just do not have the manpower to start a war, and we perhaps never will. But we must always try.
Well, then how do we undermine these demons if we cannot go to all-out war?
They have people that they control that give them their faith instead of giving faith to God. Killing them tends to hurt the demon's chances.
Does it kill the demon?
If you kill a demon that is in one of their thralls of evil, if you kill the body, the demon is sometimes sent straight to the abyss. Sometimes, though, they're able to latch on to another of their thralls that's nearby.
Well, where do we find? Are there hives of these beings? Like, doesn't the church have exorcists who can find them for us?
Well, we are, of course, always working on that, but they move their sanctums around quite easily.
Well, if ever there was a place besides perhaps Los Angeles or Las Vegas that would be infested with demons, it is here.
Very true. If you need a safe place to stay, by the way, you may always stay in the Chantry.
Thanks. I have an apartment, though.
It may not be safe to return there.
All right.
I'm just giving you a warning because, well, time stopped the other day.
I guess you're right. Maybe I will stick around here. Do you have quarters?
Yes, of course.
All right.
Nicely appointed ones for certain special individuals, he says with a chuckle.
I'll like kind of nod a little bit too, or laugh a little bit too.
Well, are there any questions you have for me before, I send you out to meet and greet the celestial chorus outside, who you should try your very best to mingle with and appear to be one?
Why are we persecuted here?
If the technocracy knew that we were staying here, they would stop at nothing to kill everyone here.
I see. All right. Well, where do I get trained? How do I get trained? How do I learn to do God's work?
Well, quite frankly, that comes from within you. Though people can open the doors so that you may walk through them, anyone outside these doors or myself can teach you how to do these things. But just because we teach you doesn't mean that you'll be able to do it. It's a bit hard to explain.
Perhaps you have books that I can read.
That is very true. We have multitude of books, including one of the original 5 copies of the Key of Solomon.
What? That's insane. That's awesome.
I have a first edition copy of the Bible somewhere on my shelf over there as well. As well as copies.
A first edition copy of the Bible?
I mean, like the
very
Bible
first. Written by God himself?
No. Like when Peter wrote his letters, and John, and when everyone got together and put them together, that would be the very first copy of the Bible.
And that's what you have?
Yes.
Can I see it?
Yes, of course. He stands up from behind his desk and floats over to, like, because I rolled mad successes, so the effect hasn't stopped yet. He kind of floats over to, like, one of the shelves and starts looking, and then pulls out very slowly an iron-bound tome.
All right.
And then kind of like slowly floats it towards you.
I'll like reach out my hands to touch it.
As you touch it, you can feel the very essence of God in this book.
Out of character, does it have like true faith on it?
Yes. It also may, in fact, be a grimoire for the for those with enough true faith.
Nice. All right, so I'm gonna as I hold it, first I use like matter sight. I'm basically going to use all the sights that I have, which is matter, spirit, time, forces, entropy, and correspondence.
All right, roll me 6 dice. Difficulty 3.
I got 6 successes.
That's, of course, enough for you to, like, turn on all of your sights at once.
So can I see, like, the words appearing on the pages as the people are writing them with time sight?
Yeah, you can. By the way, John has a massive beard.
I can see them too. I can see the people.
You can't interact with them, but you can see people writing. Like as you flick to like the Book of John, you can see John's hand writing it.
All right, so I mean, by the end of this, I'm probably just like holding it, and if I'm in a seat, I'm like tilted all the way back, or if I was standing, I'm now kneeling, and I'm just like weeping. And I guess like praying to, or like praising God.
Like during this, like the angel just looks up at you and like has this like smile on its face.
I will do anything that I can to further like our cause and do God's work, as you clearly are true soldiers of God.
Well, first I suspect you need to be trained and trained up right. Um, if you have questions pertaining our order, come to me or any of the deacons out there. You'll know them because they alone within these walls wear priestly garb.
Okay. All right, I guess I'll go out. I'll like thank him, and I'll look over at the angel. Actually, I'll be like, "Who's that?"
That is my familiar, a connection to the Lord. Though he is not truly an angel, he is but a um, representation thereof.
I guess I can't say I understand, but I'm sure I'll learn in time.
Um, he is pretty to look at, like a stained glass mirror or stained glass window with a cross in it. And just like that, he helps me to focus on the Lord. If that makes more sense to you.
Yeah, I suppose. Nothing's really been making sense lately.
Yes, well, sadly, that's going to be the case for a little bit.
Deus Vult.
Deus Vult. And with that, like you slowly like descend like to the ground. As like
Oh, I forgot I was floating this whole time.
yeah, and he's like been sitting over the chair, and he just floats down to the chair. Um, I actually need to go. I was just delivered a small package of evil, known as a 2-year-old,
All right.
because apparently her mother and my brother are having something. I think they're going to the doctor and seeing whether she's gonna have another baby. But thank you everyone for watching. Thank you listeners for listening, and remember, God wills it.
Deus Vult.